Hello and welcome to Bookworms. It is the show where we have spent the last 16 months reading books and then talking about those books. This is our season ender. I'm Alex.
And I'm Joe.
And boy, oh boy, we're going to be reflecting the hell out of this time.
Yeah, it's been kind of weird not having to read any books for the podcast. I'm not going to lie. Having a month off, Alex. How have you felt?
Well, I had to read House of Leaves recently, so it's, it's busy.
Yeah, well, I have also recorded some bonus episodes for next season, so spoiler alert.
Yeah, I did not record with those, so those are the good bonus episodes, if you ask me.
Yeah, pretty much. Alex doesn't have to do something; he is more than willing to volunteer.
Pretty much. So we each chose 8 books.
Yeah, mine were better, obviously.
Not according to the lists I made, but whatever.
I'll admit I had one flop in there, or maybe 2.
No, 2 on my side, but yeah. I had just 8 bangers.
You had 8 average bangers.
Hey, average bangers are just fine, okay?
So yeah, we had 16 books, plus I counted up last night, and we had 11 bonus episodes.
Yeah, those bonus episodes, those were always a treat. I love doing just the
You did
weird
what, like
extra
3
stuff.
of them, Alex?
Was that?
You did what, like 3 or 4 of them?
According to my list, I did 7 of them.
Okay, more than
Out
I
of the
thought.
11.
How many you actually had to read books for, though? Probably 6 of them.
Yeah, 6 of them, because we did song lyrics for one of them.
Yeah, so most of my bonus episodes, I didn't have to read the book, so other than like the 6.
Yeah, thank you, Becky.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. We all love you.
Our number one guest host, Becky.
So yeah.
Yeah, so this episode is just we're gonna look back at our season, and we're gonna go over some of our analytics. We're gonna review the books that we read. We're gonna do some rankings. We got some fun games, and then we're gonna look at the future.
Okay, so Alex, favorite book off my list?
Off of your list?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Use of Weapons.
Saving the best for last.
What's the best book off mine?
I put down Bull.
Bull, really?
Yeah. I think it was more of it was surprisingly good. I think there was obviously, as I said, you had a lot of bangers there, average bangers, but bangers. But I think out of all the books, that was probably the most pleasant surprise that I had. I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting and different and thought-provoking and just something I would never have read before. And so yeah.
Yeah, it's like interesting. You just take this, he's not world famous, big name guy, and he's got just this really thought-provoking take on a really old story, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love David Elliott.
Have you read his other stuff yet?
I have. I've read a few of his things. He's got another book of verse called Voices, which is about like the final hours of Joan of Arc. That one's really good. Mm-hmm. And he's got another one that's based off of, it's called The Seventh Raven.
So when are we going to interview him, Alex?
I don't know.
You got to reach out.
He's one of those guys you got to pay to talk to.
I somehow doubt that. I'm sure if you buttered him up with your buttery personality.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey, do you remember me from like 5 years ago?
So where do we want to start, Alex? Do we want to talk about the books? We want to start with the analytics?
Let's jump right into those analytics. Let's get those out of the way. Then we'll do some book reflections.
So, at the time of the recording, our last bonus episode has not aired, so I can't give you the numbers. And I believe today is 1 week into the our last book, Use of Weapons. So the numbers are going to be a little skewed at the end there. But as of middle of July, we have
2024.
We have 847 total downloads for 27 episodes, I believe.
Okay. Now let's get that number up to 1,000. I want to see 4 figures by the end of July.
Yeah, we're averaging between 40 to 60 downloads a month. Now this is downloads. I can't see if you're just streaming it. I can kind of look up on Spotify, but their analytics side is kind of
it's kind of weird.
It's kind of janky. But so I'm looking at the Podbean numbers, so I can see all the downloads off of all the different podcasting apps. Let's see. Let's go to episode list. So yeah, obviously our most popular downloaded episode. Can you guess it, Alex?
It's probably got something to do with the best-selling mystery novel of all time.
No, it's our introduction. Which
Wow.
makes sense. It is the first episode, so people pull it up and say, oh, what's this thing? Let's find out.
We beat Agatha Christie. That's what I'm hearing.
And then, let's see, Anansi Boys is not our next highest. Next would be
Thank
Butcher.
God.
and the Wren.
Butcher and the Wren. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Well, that book does have a fan base.
Yeah.
That also might be probably the most fun I had recording an episode was Butcher.
So,
We
do
just
you know she's
toured
coming out
new
with
one.
a second book?
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
series?
you showed me that.
And did you know she's also got a movie for the first one?
Does she?
Yeah, it's already being cast and everything.
Dude,
So-
we gotta get a true crime podcast going.
Well, what I'm thinking is we're definitely going to do the book 2 review, and we're going to review the movie for bonus episodes.
Excellent.
So be prepared. It's like my favorite person to rip on. No hate against her, but it is pretty fun just to rip on these.
We're gonna ride her. We're gonna ride
Coattails.
Yeah, we're gonna ride her coattails.
What were you going to say, Alex?
Yeah, we're gonna ride her coattails. That's what I was gonna say. Into world fame. I hope that all of our fans hear us make fun of Angela Urquhart, and then
Elena.
That's how little I respect her. We're just like they hear how much we disrespect her. And
For how much we
that
kind of
just
ripped on
carries
our
us
book
into
and people
fame.
were complaining that we bring it up too often. I mean, obviously, there's a reason why we had to keep bringing it up because it's our most popular episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's that. So that was, again, the next popular book was our first book, Anansi Boys. I'm sure a lot of people stopped listening after that one. It was terrible.
I don't know why they would stop listening. Like that's the episode where we breathe into the mic for like an hour, and it's great. We learned a lot really fast.
Yeah, it was a sharp learning curve.
Don't breathe into the mic. Don't say every other word.
But yeah, our numbers kind of drop off after that. Our next, all of a sudden we're down into mostly the 20s and 30s for downloads. John Dies at the end, another popular one at 44 downloads. Troy Farkas in his book Surrender, where we did that interview, is probably our most popular bonus episode.
Yeah, I love doing that. That was a lot of fun meeting Troy.
Yeah, that was definitely probably one of my favorite bonus episodes to do, just because the book was, let's be honest, was not great. But actually getting to interview an author and do something really different like that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. The next most popular bonus episode, Stuffed.
That's just because I keep bringing it up.
Book that's doing really well all of a sudden, where it had a terrible first week, first month. The Absolutely True Diary of Part-Time Indian. That's up to 40 downloads. It's been just going crazy. People in California love that episode.
Oh, interesting. That's my number one book of the whole shebang. Was that like I love that book to begin with, and just getting to sit there for an hour and 15 minutes talking about it. It just lit up my world.
I think my favorite for my books was Use of Weapons.
Yeah, you definitely saved the best for last with that. That book was awesome.
Though I mean, Night Watch was pretty terrific also.
Yeah, I
you did. I think part of the problem with that is you cut me short on it. I'm still a little bitter.
Yeah. You know what? I was trying to do I have the game I have set up where you have to guess the 1-star review. I could not find a 1-star review for Night Watch on Goodreads for that. It was awesome.
Yeah, I
cool.
can only imagine why that
difficult.
would. Yeah, I can only imagine why that would be so. But yeah, so I said I can see basically what we can see is our first week numbers, our first month numbers, and then total numbers.
Yeah, and I mentioned like the first week, first month, like there's gonna be like a initial interest, and then the work really starts.
Drops right off, and part of me wonders if a lot of this, if people are actually reading along, if they just can't keep up with the one book a month thing. So I mean, it is, as we were talking about in other episodes, it is a difficult, for people to read that often. It's, for me and you, we're reading 60 to 100 books most years, and most people are reading maybe 12, probably 5.
Well, the average adult, I believe, reads 12 books a year, and we're skewing those numbers. I think most people read 0.
Yeah. So analytics, obviously, United States is the most popular country, followed up by Germany. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, we're talking over almost 700 versus 36. But Canada, we got a couple people checking in. One of the things that really got me was just the random people that find this show. It's like, we're not advertising or anything. We're not doing any of that. It's this expensive enough as it is for just a hobby. And just random people pick it up and are like, wow, how did this person in Israel find our show, in Vietnam and Luxembourg, Thailand?
I wonder if a lot of it is just they're looking up books that they liked and they saw our podcast.
Well, we actually have a bunch from a bunch of African countries all listening to Anansi Boys. So that's what I think, that is accurate. But yeah, in the States, New Hampshire is our most popular state for listeners. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, that makes sense. Appreciate you, Mom.
Followed by Connecticut, but that's skewed because when I download it, it says I'm in Connecticut, not Massachusetts. So I don't know why.
Well, let's not do too much insider baseball here. We download our own episode.
I'm just saying, Connecticut is not as high as it should be. We need to divide that number by probably about half. But we got some listeners in Massachusetts, Virginia, California, Rhode Island. But we got people in Alaska listening to us, Jersey, Alabama, Kentucky. All over the country. I think the only states we're really missing are Hawaii, which they might not have internet out there. I don't know. It is an island. Idaho, which the potatoes don't listen, so I'm not surprised.
No, they only have eyes, no ears.
No.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah, so good times. Our most popular streaming service is Spotify.
It's really the only place you can get your podcasts these days.
Well, we got plain old Google Chrome, Apple Podcasts, Safari, Google Podcasts before they died, iTunes, Podbean, Pocket Casts. I use AntennaPod now that Google Podcast is gone. Nice open source. But yeah, so that's kind of our analytics here. Anything else you want me to get into, Alex?
No, that's great. That's obviously it's a labor of love. We appreciate
definitely
all
more of a
listeners.
hobby than a thing. I was doing some research this week.
Okay.
And apparently, if you can get an episode of your podcast with 30 downloads within the first week, you're in the top 50% of podcasts for downloads.
That makes sense. Most people are talking to nobody.
Yeah. So, we're doing anywhere between typically 10 to 15 for the first week.
Yeah, even people who make even $1 of income off of their podcast puts them automatically in the top 10%.
Yeah,
So
to get to the top 25%, it's 115 to 130 downloads in that first week. So you're not talking a lot of numbers, and most people are not making money off these things until they're reaching 10,000 listeners.
Yeah, and this is obviously it's a small thing with just two brothers hanging out. We're not pushing big. We're not heavily advertised. We're not doing true crime. So
if we did true crime, we might have double what we have for listeners.
Yeah, the numbers are the numbers. We appreciate everyone, and we're gonna keep doing it no matter how many people are listening.
So yeah, moving on from analytics.
Yeah, let's look back on these books. Now, you wanted me to just rank all the books that we read?
Rank all the books I chose.
All the books you chose, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I already gave you my number one, so no spoilers. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Well, I already gave them number one, too.
Let's go descending order, so start with 8.
Start with 8. All
yeah.
right.
So it'll be a surprise for number 2.
Okay. What do you think the number 8 book is?
It's either The Liar or Butcher and the Wren.
You gotta choose one.
I'm gonna go with The Liar.
It is The Liar.
Followed by Butcher and the Wren?
Followed by Butcher and the Wren. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I still like Stephen Fry, but The Liar, it wasn't funny. It just made me uncomfortable, and I didn't like it.
I have to say, Alex, some of the books I know you read, I don't know why this book made you uncomfortable. You read some pretty fucked up shit.
I do. This one was just gross. Describing a blown out asshole as a windsock. I don't know. Not my thing.
Is that because of a personal experience? You're like, that's just not okay?
Yeah, you caught me. All right, number 7, Butcher and the Wren. Just bad book. It's just not good. It was clearly hoisted on the laurels of an already established e-celeb, and that's the only reason it sold. Otherwise, that book is just garbage.
Yeah, it never would have gone published.
Yeah, we had fun ripping on it, but it's actually just kind of sad, really. Number 6. This one might surprise you.
Oh boy.
Stiff So honestly, after Butcher, the rest of the books are pretty good. Stiff, I chose at number 6 because, well, I was like, oh, cool, we're gonna talk about cadavers, and I started reading, and I'm like, all right, I'm actually not that interested in talking about cadavers. Okay,
I can see that. You did seem kind of bored on that episode. It was definitely carried by Becky on that
yeah, I'm
one.
glad Becky was there. Otherwise, that episode would have been half the length. That was followed by book 5 was Lamb.
You just don't like comedy, do you?
I enjoyed Lamb. Lamb was funny. I do think it was overwritten. It's about 100 pages too long, but I had fun with it. It was a good time. There's a lot of great.
If I recall, that was one of those books where it got better as we discussed it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I had a lot of criticisms for it, but at the same time, I did enjoy it in the end. It's a very good story, a very good take on the Jesus story. All right, number 4. Getting into my top 4 of 8, top half. We got Winter People.
Okay.
That was a great read. Especially like I got about halfway through, then all of a sudden that book became like unputdownable. There was so much suspense and mystery going on. I needed to know what was happening. I don't think the author entirely stuck the landing on it. It was a little awkward at the end, but it was a very solid book. Great thriller with the supernatural aspects to it. Yeah.
Number 3.
There's only 2 books left to choose from, because my number 1 is Use of Weapons.
Well, I know your number 2 then.
What is it?
Night Watch.
It's Night Watch. Number
So
3.
number 3 is The Coldest Girl in
Cold Town. I had fun talking about it. It was a lot of fun to read. Again, I don't know if
And if you want to listen back to our backlog, that's probably the best first episode to start on. Skip the intro, skip the Anansi Boys.
Yeah, the Nazi Boys was definitely a learning episode. You wanted to talk about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. We talked about Anansi Boys twice. We recorded an episode, and it was so bad we declared it unlistenable.
Yeah, Alex, we recorded it, Alex edited it, and he sent it to me. He's like, I think we got our first episode. I listened to about maybe 5 minutes. I sent it back. No. We need to re-record that.
Yeah, I was like, this is dry. This is really dry. But
what we did with it was kind of what we ended up doing with Stiff, was go chapter by chapter. Problem with Anansi Boys is that wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah, it's too long of a book.
And we were just getting into the weeds. Where something like Stiff, was 10 chapters, 11 chapters?
Yeah, and each one is about a different subject.
Yeah.
It's not just a continuous storyline.
Yeah, so you almost had to talk about chapter by chapter for that.
All right, but going back to Coldest Girl in Cold Town again, Holly Black wrote a great story. It's a very good, like, older YA book with compelling characters. I don't know if she entirely stuck the landing with some. She left some threads dangling here and there, but I think with a story like that, that's okay, because it's those stories about a messy situation, so it leaves a little messy at the end. She doesn't have to have everything wrapped up in a neat little bow for everybody. And then we get into Night Watch, which really with that and Use of Weapons, like either one could have been number 1. Night Watch is it's incredibly funny. It's very thought provoking. Like we got into some of the details about like what is what is the job of a policeman.
I mean, you think about it. If you think about modern day science fiction and fantasy, these are 2 authors are pretty much at the top of the genre. Those 2 genres. You have your probably your best comedic fantasy writer of the last 50 years, and you have one of the best science. Even though he's pretty well unknown, Ian M. Banks is probably one of the best science fiction writers of the last 50 years.
Yeah, he's had a tremendous. I guess you might call him like a writer's writer, like writers who know him.
Well, I think the
hardcore
science fiction fans know of him. They're the big one, the ones that just read every science fiction they can get their hands on, and they do know of him.
Yeah, I think his name has faded a little bit because he's been gone for a while, but
like
he's
5 years.
Yeah, he's
he died a little bit before Terry Pratchett did.
Yeah, well, Pratchett's been gone for a little while, right?
Yeah, like 5 years.
When did Terry Pratchett die?
Like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh man.
Ian M. Banks might be 7 years ago then.
But yeah, he's heavily influential, like 80s, 90s era science fiction.
So Alex, out of my 8 books, I got the Goodreads ratings on them.
Okay.
The highest rated book that I had on this was Night Watch at 4.5 stars. That's with around 112,000 ratings. The lowest one I had was Butcher and the Wren. That still had a 3.73 star rating from around 68,000 ratings on Goodreads. I think that the one with the least amount of ratings. Well, actually, no, sorry, that wasn't the lowest. The lowest was The Liar at 3.65 with only 13,182 ratings.
And that's a much older book, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And one thing I learned a few months ago about Goodreads is they're very tough on books and authors at the rating system. A lot of people rate low. Or I guess if you go to like Amazon rating system or a lot of these other book recording social media sites, everything's ranked a lot higher. You can almost add like a half a star to most things, which seems really weird. But from what my understanding is, Goodreads is very much for the readers, and it just bashes writers. But I mean, it's the most popular site for this sort of thing. The book I picked with the most ratings was Stiff with 222,000 at a 4.06 star rating. So
yeah, I noticed people really love that author.
Yeah, I mean
she's one of like the biggest nonfiction names.
Yeah, she's one of the biggest science names. I mean, very niche genre to say the least. So Alex, are you ready for my list?
Go for it.
Okay, as we said, Bull was number one for me. Kind of a surprise choice.
Yeah, surprised by that.
I'm gonna say here now, none of these books were bad. It wasn't like I had to force myself to read them. It wasn't like Alex who's having to force himself to read some of these books that I picked. But my number 8, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane.
Ugh, man, you're smoking in your underwear. That book is amazing.
I don't know, Alex is the weakest out of the bunch.
So good.
Number 7, John Dies at the End. I think because I remember liking it more, especially the first half a lot more when I first read it. Second time I was like, this seemed juvenile. Like I had kind of outgrown it.
Yeah, rereading that one, that's actually the lowest ranked one of the ones I did, was John Dies at the End, because like I really remembered well like the part 1 of the book. That's really where the best writing is, and then it kind of falls apart after that. There's another 300 pages to go, and you're like, oh god, that was just the beginning. Oh my god.
Number 6, Gone Baby Gone. And again, this isn't a slam on any of the books. It's just, so you picked all decent books. It's just, if you had to rank them, someone has to be at the bottom.
You're not going to believe this, but I actually ranked Gone Baby Gone at my number 7.
Really?
For my books.
What was your number 8?
My number 8 was John Dies at the End.
Okay. So we're kind of in agreement here, other than my last one, and was it your first one?
Yeah, I mean, I really... Yeah, I put Edward Tulane as my third favorite of my choices. But yeah, John Dies at the End I was really disappointed in rereading that one.
Yeah. Number 5, The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. So was that your number 1, Alex?
That's my number 1. That's my, I don't know, it's like my second or third favorite book, just in general. So it's just so well done.
As I said, I'm not bashing it. You picked all bangers here. But
I know you like. I know you're not knocking them, but still, I'm like, you're wrong.
Okay, top half. Number 4, A Clockwork Orange.
Okay, respectable.
I mean, classic. You can't argue with it too much.
Yeah, I had one of my friends listen to that episode, and she finished it, and she texted me like, "Sometimes it's hard to be your friend."
She's just figuring that out now.
Yeah.
Number 3, And Then There Were None.
Nice. Yeah, so. I put And Then There Were None below Clockwork, but yeah.
So
see where you're going with that.
Yeah, so
they're very close.
Yeah, close. And I said none of these were like a big time loser.
Yeah, and those are the two that like are of all of our books really that are considered like classics at this point.
Number 2, Anansi Boys. And even though that episode is by far our worst,
the episode's trash.
But
that book is great.
The book is good. Again, if Terry Pratchett is number 1 in comedy fantasy, Neil Gaiman is number 1 in general fantasy. Yeah. So
Anansi Boys is probably the most Pratchett-esque as far as the humor goes. Even though they're very different writing styles.
Well, I don't know. I think Good Omens is probably their most Pratchett-esque because Terry Pratchett was also in it, writing it. So, but this is. I said, podcast-wise, it was probably our worst recorded episode. Reading-wise, it's not my favorite Neil Gaiman book, but very little have I read of his that I don't like or don't love. I mean, so.
Yeah, that guy can do no wrong.
So that's my order. Goodreads ratings. Your ratings were a little bit tighter than mine for their ratings. The highest rated one you had?
Can I guess? Because I didn't look.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think the highest rated one I had was probably, I'm going to say Part-Time Indian.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. That was a solid 4.06.
4.06. So I've had a higher
you
one.
blew me out of the water for numbers of people that have read this book.
Is it and then there were none? No, that's like a $3.99. I know that.
No. Number one, Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane at 4.38.
That's so good.
Around 112,000 ratings. Your lowest rated book was Bull at 3.84 with 3,355 ratings.
Man, we got to get those numbers up. Everyone go grab your copy of Bull by David
Elliott.
Elliott.
Everyone start reading Bull. Get those ratings in. John Dies at the End was a 3.88. The one that had the most ratings and your second highest rated book, and then there were none. 4.28 stars with 1.4 million ratings.
God damn.
So basically, like I was saying, where Goodreads can be very tough, the fact that they got 1.4 million ratings and it's still over a 4.25 is basically unheard of. So
Yeah, like Agatha Christie's legendary.
yeah, and I mean otherwise you got like Clockwork Orange is at 720,000 ratings. You know, a lot of yours are in the 200,000s.
Yeah, but like Agatha Christie, like her sales numbers equals like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Like it's like she's one of the most widely read authors of all time. So that makes sense, I guess, that you get 1 million people reading that book.
Yeah,
It's
and-
sold 100 million copies.
Yeah. So let's go to our bonus episodes.
All right. I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
Do you want me to start again? I'll start again.
Okay, you can start again. What was your going bottom
Bottom to top?
to top?
Okay, that's the way I like it. Number 8, it's got to be Hopscotch.
We had 11, Alex.
We had
11 episodes.
Oh, I might have combined a few. You'll see.
Okay, so number 8.
Number 8
Hopscotch.
is Hopscotch. That was just that book was a slog to get through. It wasn't good. I think there's been, I don't know, reading House of Leaves, like they did that jumping around thing way better. And I don't know, just this book was kind of bland, and like it was fun recording with Adam, and he made me laugh really hard because he didn't know how to pronounce Julio, but it was good. The next one up is actually the other Adam episode with the song lyrics. That was a lot of fun. I think I don't know, if we had to do it over again, I would have shortened it to like 3 songs per person because I think 15 song lyrics was a little extra.
I think I was thinking about that too, and I mean I got the crappy job of doing the editing. And trust me, I edited the 2 long episodes we had. Actually, in 3 long episodes because me and Becky had one that was really long. I had to edit down about 30 minutes, but it was doing anything over an hour and a half time wise. That is a slog for editing. Behind the scenes, I can do about 20 minutes of 15 to 20 minutes of finished product in an hour.
Yeah, my behind the scenes, it takes me about an hour long episode. Takes me about 4 hours to edit.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah, so
3 to 4 hours for a 1 hour episode, and when I'm doing it, I'm cutting out for every hour. I'm cutting out about 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's
dead air and ums and ahs, and as you guys can tell, we still miss a lot. It's just
well,
like we would
I leave a few ums in there just for flow, so we don't sound too
I will leave them in there when it gets
robotic.
No, when it's part of the flow of talk where there's not really a break.
Yeah, like um's not a bad thing. Like people say it's fine. You just don't want it taking away from what's being said.
And you knows.
Yeah, and the likes and you knows and the lip smacking. But yeah. So yeah, the lyrics, it was a good time. I enjoyed the change of pace. We didn't have to do any reading. I just kind of started listening to
I think
what was actually
going
on in the...
It was to limit Adam on how much he talked about his damn songs. Because when it got to me and you talking the songs, we were bam, bam, bam. Granted, we were picking a lot more basic songs, but...
Yeah, he chose Echoes by Pink Floyd. That's got so many lyrics in it.
Yeah. He was getting really deep into his songs. We were just like, no, these are just good songs.
Yeah. All right. My next one up is House of Leaves, which has yet to air. However, I've edited it and it's in the canister, ready to go. I really enjoyed reading House of Leaves, and I really enjoyed talking about it. I feel like it would have been more beneficial for us to both have read it because that book is just so dense and in depth. Like it's really hard to just have one guy explaining it to another person. It was a good challenge, but there's so much you can do with a story like that. I feel like we kind of left a lot on the table there when with that
We'll
episode.
have to revisit that someday, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to look back on. Number 5, it's kind of a personal favorite of mine. I did is Stuffed. I could go on and on about Stuffed. I loved reading Stuffed. I love talking about Stuffed. I love bringing Stuffed up every episode since we did Stuffed. That book it's just so much fun to talk about. Like the author was clearly having a good time. The writing is the perfect style of writing where I don't know if it's bad or intentionally bad, probably a little bit of both, but it was just a good time. I had a good time reading it and recording it with the wives. We got a little insane with it.
Okay.
Then I did our interview with Troy.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just really great meeting Troy. Yeah, as far as self-help books go, I'm not a big fan of the genre to begin with. He had some good points, and obviously he intentionally contradicted himself a lot. And it's not something I would normally read, but it wasn't terrible. And like it's cool just getting to meet somebody who's willing to sit down and bare their soul like that and just share their beliefs with the world, put themselves out there.
Troy's definitely a really nice, cool guy to hang out with.
Oh yeah, that was a great day. Just we drove down to Portsmouth and
Yeah, I
hung out
mean,
with
and
him.
Troy was having a bad go of it that day, so I think he was appreciative of having that distraction of us interviewing him, and he definitely was able to move past what was going on with him health-wise and personal life-wise and give it his all. So big thumbs up to him. Great guy to just be around in an interview. So
Yeah, so thank you, Troy. Number 3 was Beyond the Wand. I hate read the shit out of that book. I was like texting people about how terrible it was, and then you and I sat down and we just spent like an hour and a half trashing it. It was a terrible book, but it was so worth reading because we just shit all over it. I couldn't get over just like, what is the point of this story that you're telling? It feels so forced and it feels made up. Hang on, pausing for lemonade. And it was just so poorly done, and then like he tries to throw like some drama in at the end with going to rehab, and like I barely even believe that he went to rehab. I'm sure he did, but just the way they did it was just awful. So I enjoyed just crapping all over it. It's so high because I got to be mean to somebody who did something bad, and you always got to trash bad art.
And part of the reason why we did this podcast the way we did was I remember when Goodreads was still fairly young, I'd give a lot of reviews on books I was reading, and they have a thing where they do giveaways, and the idea is that you do it, if you win the giveaway, read the book quickly and then give an honest review, and then they'll pull quotes from some of the best reviews. And I remember the last one I won, and then I didn't put in for like 2 years because it was so bad and I hated it, and I ripped it apart, and the author actually reached out to me saying, "Hey, I'm sorry you didn't like it. I made a bunch of changes." I couldn't even. It was so bad. I couldn't even respond to the guy, and I felt terrible. I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm done giving bad reviews unless if it's warranted. And I try to write good reviews, and it's really hard to write good reviews. It's easier to nitpick the bad stuff. So going into this podcast, like, hey, I know there's going to be times where we're going to rip a book apart. It's fun. It's easy. But the idea is to find good books and find ways to gush over them. It doesn't sound too fangirly. And ripping apart Felton there was was satisfying.
We didn't even play his music. We were being nice.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it is Draco, so he kind of deserved, But yeah. I mean, no.
I don't think Malfoy will be too perturbed about us nitpicking his memoir. It's fine. He didn't even write it, so it's cool.
Yeah, and he's making a hell of a lot more money with his music than we were making with our podcast. Yeah. So probably getting a lot more listeners too. So good for him.
Then we get into number 2, The Greatest Thing Since Sliced Bread. This book was a real treat. This is probably my, out of all the bonus books that we did, this one was my favorite to read. It was fun to talk about. His writing style was just really magical, and a bit, it's not my favorite book overall, but it's definitely the best bonus episode.
It was definitely a nice surprise. Yeah. It was recommended to us off of a whim. Like, oh, the name of that book there sounds interesting. Why don't you guys talk about that? Read it and talk about it. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems kind of weird, but then reading a little bit into it, I was like, okay, well, Stephen King likes it, likes the author, supposedly lost classic. We'll give it a try, and yeah, it was actually a good book.
And the author uses a lot of writing like styles and methods that I really enjoyed. Like as someone who writes, like I could see what he's doing and why he's doing, and I'm like, I got to start doing that in my writing. Like I felt very influenced by it. Really just excellent coming of age story. Okay. Yeah. My number one is actually the last 4 episodes. I just wrote them, the episodes Becky did. So thank you, Becky, for saving me some work. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you weren't there for any of those, were you, Alex?
Nope.
It was just me and Becky sitting in the kitchen, forcing Becky to have to talk when she's like, I hate you. Why are we doing this? Becky, we need content. Please, just talk about anything. Okay, so I'll give my order of the list, and then we'll move on here. Coming at number 11. Just remember that there are 11 books, Alex. Not. I put my last one, Stuffed. That book was just painful. It was just painful. I'm sorry, Alex. I mean, it was fun dunking on it. But number 10 was Lessons on Genres with Becky. And it's nothing against Becky. It was just her first podcast recording, first attempt at doing a bonus episode. So, yeah, it was a learning curve. It was, okay, what is the format that we're going to do here? Is this going to work? Is this going to be interesting? Don't know. Just give it a try. And the whole reason why we started doing bonus episodes was I was looking at our stats on our thing and realizing, hey, after the first couple of weeks, people stopped downloading this, and we just got a bunch of dead time where no one's listening. So why don't we try to every 2 weeks try to put something out and see if we can keep up with that. And so far it's been tight a few times, but we've been doing pretty good with that, especially when Alex doesn't have to do the work.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, well, part of it is it's not even your fault. Is you're the one that does all the commuting. So unless if I'm up in New Hampshire, you got an hour and a half commute just to get down here.
Yeah. So it's not always possible for me to get down.
Yeah, so it's a big time. It's a big time commitment. It's a big time commitment. So
yeah, and kudos to her for just jumping in. Like this is one of our earliest bonus episodes. Yeah, so it's good to her to try something new.
Yeah. So and again, it's not bashing anything that was said. It was just slow because it was a difficult episode because we didn't know what we were doing. Number 9, Beyond the Wand. I didn't.
Did you do that for this? Put it that low for the same reason I put it that high?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Number 8, House of Leaves. I think that, again, it was like you said, it was just a tough book to do solo. If we were both read it, I probably would have put it higher. But, so when I realized what book it was, I was excited because I said I had heard about it in high school. I had seen a friend read it, and I remember commenting, like, this book looks weird, and she was like, well, yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to drive you insane. I'm like, it just seems like a lot of waste of paper. Because I'm looking at the ones where it's just like a handful of words per page. And
yeah, it makes up for it by packing other pages.
Yeah, I didn't see that at the time. I'm just like, this is weird. Number 7, Peak with Becky. And that, again, it's nothing against Becky, just another one of those early episodes, and it's me listening to her describe stuff on a book that I'm not really interested in. I mean, it's a book she's passionate about because she teaches it pretty much every year at school. So, I think it's one of those books, if I were in her class, it would be one of the books I'm more interested in reading for a school book. So, but yeah, so number 7 is that, Peak. 6, Hopscotch with Adam. And that was just fun recording with Adam. He's so goofy sometimes, all the time.
He's acting like we had a gun to his head. We broke into his house, but that's no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, by the end though, he was like, "I want to do more of these." Of course, when we did more with him, he's like,
"I don't want to do it anymore.
I don't want to do it." But he's so easily excitable. It's great. Number 5, the Cinderella stories that Becky did, and those were good, especially when I realized that I had actually knew one from growing up. I didn't, I forget what the 2 were. One was with the eggs, talking eggs, and one was the African princesses going to find the prince. But yeah, that was kind of just something different. Number 4, I put the songs with Adam. Again, just something different. It was something kind of zany and wacky that we did. Good times.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
3 was Surrender with Troy. Again, just fun interviewing somebody, fun change of scenery kind of thing. We had to drive all the way down to Portsmouth, New Hampshire to do it. And lovely town, lovely person. So yeah, had a great time doing that. Number 2, was Greatest Thing Since Sliced Bread. Like we just said, that was just a awesome find that we were never would have heard of it. Someone said, "Hey, this is a weird title. Why don't you check it out? It has nothing to do with sliced bread." It's like, okay, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, that was great.
And my number one was Valiant Women with Becky, where she talked about the women of World War II who served and just that history. And that was pretty cool. So if you haven't read that book, that's definitely a book you should check out. It's for nonfiction readers and even probably fiction readers. So it's just one of those amazing feats of little known stories. I mean, people that should have their stories probably better remembered.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, for the books that we actually read, the highest rated was Beyond the Wand.
That makes sense.
4.3. But like we discussed during that book, this is the kind of book that the major Potter fans are reading, who want every little bit of Potter lore and everything to do with the actors, and people that don't read a lot. So that's why they're going to rate it high, because it's Draco Malfoy, the Slice of Dream, is talking in depth about his experiences. So yeah, they're going to be happy. He gave them exactly what the Potter fans want.
Yeah, just a bunch of stories to tell at Comic-Con.
The lowest rating was Stuffed at 2.51.
We got to get that number up. Everyone go buy a copy of Stuffed. Give it 5 stars.
It had the one with the least amount of ratings was Surrender by Troy. That only had 2, which I was one of them. Alex, I don't believe you've rated that one yet.
No, I should give that a rating. You're right.
You might not want to. It might bring the book rating down, but let's see. A lot of these didn't have a ton of ratings on them. They were a little bit less known books. Looks like the one with the most ratings was actually House of Leaves had the most ratings.
Oh, really?
And that was a 4.09. So you're only talking about 174,000 ratings, but so most of these are in the 40,000s or 2.
Yeah. A lot of them are self-published or cult classics. So.
Yeah, so a lot of...
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. House of Leaves is pretty notorious.
Yeah, so yeah, that is season 1 in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I've got a little game for you if you want to move into a game.
Okay, yeah, we'll try a game.
All right. So I've pulled 5 one-star ratings from all of the books that we've read.
Okay.
If you need a hint on any of them, I will give you 1 hint.
Okay.
Some of these, they drop the author's name or a character name in there. So if that happens, I will just switch it out a little bit with the author or the character. I'll start with this one. All you have to do is guess the book.
Okay.
I'll give you this one's easier. I'll start with this one. As are most of the author's books, this one is desperately slow and directionless for much of its length. His writing style is good, but his disdain for his own characters leaves you cold. Then suddenly, the last 10% of this book becomes an emotional obscenity, an assault of deepest cruelty, a celebration of hatred, and an abuse of the reader. I could never forgive the character for his deranged and horrific brutality, a sin of no possible redemption. I resent the author's rape of my mind in this book, the poisonous images burned therein. I will hate him forever for this book, the sick fuck.
Is that review written by you for The Liar, Alex?
No. I did write the exact same thing for that, though.
Clockwork Orange?
That is incorrect. That is a review of Use of Weapons.
Oh, I would never have guessed that one.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I was surprised by that, too. I was looking at the percentages of reviews, because they gave you that breakdown at the of the community reviews, and it said 0% of them were 1 stars. And so I was scrolling through, and that might be literally the only 1-star review of that book on Goodreads.
Okay. Like I said, that's the amount of books we read that were just ultra violent. That book, it had its moments, but there were books that were just way more depraved. Okay.
Yeah. Teach their own.
Yeah.
All right, this one will be easier. This one, I'm not going to give you that hint. This person uses a lot of text speak, like LOL and LMAO and IDK and stuff. So I'm just going to read it out, take away the abbreviation. This was way worse than the Door one, because that actually had decent writing. And if it's going downhill like this, I don't even know what the second book is LOL. I did die laughing out of cringe, though. Not a total loss, I guess. But I like the idea of the DIY boyfriend, LMAO. Imagine if that was actually possible. Skull emoji. I'd build myself a Henry Cavill, not gonna lie. There was one more interesting thing about these books, though. The way the man just worshipped the girl. Literally, bro was willing to do it all. Like, give these to men to read so they can learn a thing or two, LMAO.
Stuffed.
Nailed it. All right, redemption. All right, let's see how you do. This is a tough one. I bet you can do this.
The harder the better, Alex.
Disgusting and repulsive, full of gore, blood, and violence against animals. The narration is the only good part of the book. I hated the story, especially because I'm an animal lover and a vegetarian. If I had a physical copy of this book, I would burn it to ashes.
I feel like that has to be A Clockwork Orange. Just because that's the only one where they really hurt animals, isn't it?
You really don't like Clockwork Orange, do you? No, this is The Winter People.
What animals did they...
I think don't they kill a chicken at the end?
They killed a chicken, they kill a fox, but the fox is like transforming into like locks of hair and all that stuff. It was very... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you went a little too hard on that one. All right, I got two left.
Okay.
All right. Remember, you can't ask for hints. I had to read this for a book club. I read about 80 pages of this and threw it across the room. Wish I didn't. Maybe I could have gotten more for it when I traded it in. Pretentious, wrapped, uptight, faux beatness. What I remember. Expat intellectuals crying over jazz records having an artistic time in Paris. Well-read guy pines for girl who doesn't catch all of his references, but, feels things. The cover blurb makes it look like it will change your life, and then make sandwiches for you. Is this book pretentious or just about pretentiousness? I couldn't tell. Is either worth reading?
That's going to be hopscotch.
Oh, yeah, that is easily hopscotch. I like that. Is this book pretentious or about pretentiousness? Well-read guy pines for girl and feels things. This last one is super tough. This could be literally any of the books.
Okay.
All
Maybe this will be the one I saved my hint for, huh?
Yeah. Obnoxious, terrible dialogue, terrible pacing. The first and last of this author I'll ever read.
It's going to be The Liar written by you. Let's go with a hint.
All right, this is one of my books.
One of your books. Oh, boy. It's going to be The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I don't know. Anansi Boys.
Ooh, close. This is actually Gone Baby Gone.
That was my other. I was going to go with that. I was like, no, that's too obvious. It's going to be something that I liked.
Yeah. I actually tried to find a review for Nancy Boys, but that was another one where there's not a lot of one-star reviews. So that's my game. I only had 5.
Okay.
Hope you liked it.
I had a similar game. Let's see, I'm going to pick random books, read a review. You have to guess how many stars and which book I'm reading about. If they name the author or the book, I'll just say the word blank, either like author or book.
Okay.
So I'll tell you. I'll give you a hint of which, if it's one of your books, one of my books, or one of the bonus books. So I mean, you have to pull them up here. Hold on. Sorry, unlike you, I did not prepare these. I just figured I'd pick a random one here. So
Okay. Yeah, it's harder than it looks.
yeah. But a lot of the problem with Goodreads is the reviews. They give you a whole background of what the story is. It's like, don't tell me about the story. Just give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, not only do you have to find a 1 or a 5-star review, you also have to find a short blurb.
Yeah.
Guess I'll play some Flappy Birds while we're waiting.
They still have that game?
Probably.
Okay, here we go. This is one of your books, Alex.
Okay.
In book title, you really get a taste of darkness and an overdose of evil. I finished the book a couple of weeks ago, but this was a book that actually was so awful to read. The first author's name book I had to read in phases. Not right through because it was sometimes too awful to read. I also waited a while to write the review. Sometimes dwelling in darkness isn't that nice, and after book title, I just wanted to read easy things and watch fun things on TV. Rating this book was also hard. I gave this book blank stars after I finished the book, but after thinking it through these weeks, after finishing the book, I have decided to give the blank instead, knock off blank star more. I found the book too dark and disturbing for my taste. I hate reading books when children get hurt, and for instance, the pedophile part of the book was horrific.
Okay, I think at the end that gives away It's gotta be Gone Baby Gone.
Correct. But how many stars?
Let me see. I think they started with 2 stars, knocked off 1, so it's a 1-star review.
4 stars.
4 stars? Okay. So they knocked it down to 3 stars?
No, it was they gave it 4.5, and they knocked off a half a star to give
Jesus
it.
Christ. What you say and what you do are not the same.
Okay, let's see here now.
Yeah, I was debating. It's like, this is either Clockwork Orange or it's Gone Baby Gone.
Come on, short reviews. Okay, here we go. This is one of my books.
All right, I'm ready.
I really enjoyed listening to this audiobook. I thought the narrator was excellent with the different characters' voices. It was very entertaining. I adored the humor and the wit present throughout the book. It was the first book from this author I have read. I'm not sure why I waited so long to read this or any of his output, but it will certainly not be the last. A fantastic read.
Okay. So this is one of the comedies.
Which I had a few of.
Yeah. So I listened to the audiobook of Lamb, and I thought the reader did an excellent job on the voices. The only other comedy he did was Night Watch. Oh, he did The Liar also. I don't think that was on... That's not readily available on audiobook. I'm going to go with Lamb. Is it Lamb?
No.
Was it Night Watch?
It is Night Watch.
Night Watch, all right.
How many stars?
I think that sounds like a 5-star review.
It is a 5-star review.
Yes, all right.
Okay.
Second try. First try. Joe's laughing to himself, whatever this is.
Yeah, I got some of these are very hilarious, but it's gonna give it away. This is one of our bonus books, Alex.
All right.
I missed the person I was before I read this.
Miss the person I was before I read this. Okay. Is that all there is? Okay. I don't think they'd write that for Troy's book. Let's see. I'm gonna go with... Oh, God, this is a tough one. I'm gonna say House of Leaves.
No.
All right, one more guess. Give me one more. Let's go with Beyond the Wand.
No.
What is it?
Stuffed.
Well, that's obviously a 5-star review then. Or just the one.
Just the one.
Oh, they liked it so much they put a little star next to it. That's great.
I almost read you the first one. I didn't know what I get it. A dead giveaway. I swear if I ever walked in on my pillow forming a body, I'd be straight up pissing myself and having my soul leave my body. Hard pass. That was no stars, just red.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of really good 1-star reviews for that book.
Do you want to do any more, or are you good?
Yeah, that's up to you.
We'll do one more.
One more, all right.
It'll be out of any of the books, no hints on where it came from.
Okay. All whatever that is, 16, all 25 books.
Yeah.
Hopefully not one of the Becky ones, because I will definitely lose. Through the magic of editing, we're going to make it seem like Joe's found these really fast.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Okay. So we're going to read the bullet review. This person also has a full review. Bullet review. Bleh. I tried and tried and tried to like this disgusting, gory, weird little book, and it just isn't happening. I'm sure there's an audience for this type of book, but it sure as hell ain't me. And as I've said before, life's too short to be wasted on books I'm not liking.
It's a gory, weird little book. So it's a little book. I'm going to take that as it's a shorter book. So something that's on the shorter end.
I'll read you the first paragraph of the full review.
Okay.
Unless if you think you got it.
I have an idea in my head, but read it to me.
Well, let's, give me your idea and then I'll...
I'm leaning towards Clockwork Orange.
I have to write a review for this? Really? And a plot summary? How do I even begin to sort through the batshit weird that happens in this book into a cohesive, comprehensive summary? Do I even really want to?
Okay, I'm still leaning towards Clockwork. Or it could be Butcher. Could be Butcher.
DNF around 55%. I stopped tracking at that point. I had to stop caring about the book much sooner.
So you got halfway through
before they gave up.
Before you gave up. Okay.
And there's 6 reasons why this book makes no sense to me and why I am probably a robot in disguise.
Is this Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Yeah, I'm going to lock it in. Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange. John dies at the end.
John dies at the end. You know what? I kind of lost interest about 55% of the way in, too.
I thought you were going to... If I went into the 6 reasons, it would have definitely given it away. Reason number 1, I have tried to read these sorts of humor books in the past and failed. A few years back, I tried to read Year Zero and gave up. Body functions, genitalia, big boobs, sex, and gore are not what I call funny.
It can be.
I prefer female characters to have character beyond a name and a set of legs or boobs or nice ass. Again, this seems to be a rarity in this bipedal culture. I prefer male characters to have character as well, beyond being drug addicts, alcoholics, and sex maniacs who joke about how huge their genitals are.
This could still be a Clockwork Orange.
I like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but not this. The oddities of hitchhikers spoke to me about the innatities of life and stupidity of the characters. The oddities of Not Dead speak to the ability of the author to create weird for the pure sake of weird. 6. There seems to be no reason for the events of this book beyond being weird.
Yeah, it is just like, oh, we got to stop the end of the world.
Yeah.
Which is fine and everything.
So how many stars?
Oh, so it's a did not finish. It's got to be 1 or less than.
No.
Really?
It's a 2-star.
2-star. Oh, God. Why would you give it 2 stars?
I don't know. Usually I don't. If I don't finish it, it doesn't get rated or it gets a 1 star.
Jesus.
Okay. So that's my little game.
All right. Well done, sir.
You had your fun with me. I had my fun with you. So
yeah, I should have only done your books for 1-star reviews. Just be really mean, but that would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been like 3 books then. So it would have been easy.
Okay. Or really throw you a loop and just do the same book over and over.
Yeah. So where are we going next? This, Alex?
I think that puts a wrap on season 1.
Yeah, I think so too.
So it's time to look ahead.
So season 2. As I've kind of hinted already, we got some bonus episodes already recorded. I've been whipping the whip on Becky's back to get bonus material out.
Okay.
Alex is...
I disavow.
Alex is thinking about leaving really quickly here.
Well, that's the show, everybody.
But that. So we got some bonus episodes. We got our books all picked out. I have my 8. Alex has his 8. I tried to talk Becky into picking 8. She refused because she did not want to read our 16.
Yeah, that would blow a season out to 2 years. I don't think that seems a little extra.
Nah, I mean it would have been 24 episodes, not that big of a deal. I mean, not the end of the world. And so I think it was more of a Becky really did not want to read our books, and she thought it would be torturous for us to read her books, though she would have enjoyed that immensely. And said if she only had to read her books, and we had to read her books, and that's all we did, she'd be fine with it. But
sometimes I choose books just because I know you guys won't like it. I'm like, I like this book. I know you won't.
But yeah, so we got our books picked out. Do we want to go through our book list, Alex, or do we just want to save that for later?
I want to keep them guessing each month.
Okay, we can do that. That was
I like doing that with dropping it on them.
Okay, so we'll get into that right at the end to let you know what to read.
Yeah.
We're also looking to grow the podcast, and as we always say, as every podcaster says, the best way to grow the show is you guys. Word of mouth definitely is the biggie here. We need you guys' help. So please, please, please spread the word. But we would also like to help you guys spread the word. So we want your input on what we can do. We've had a handful of comments from one person on Spotify. We've had
Thanks, Mom.
No emails. So please reach out to us, guys. Be engaged listeners. We could use the help. What are we doing well? What would you like to see more of? Are there any bonus books you would like us to go over? Are there any authors that are especially local authors, but we'll take any authors that you think would actually want to interview with us? We'd be glad to give it a shot. I mean, me and Alex are both kind of hermits that don't talk to a lot of people that read books, which is why we are here.
Yeah, if I knew anyone else who read, I would do a show with them.
Yeah, pretty much. Awkward jokes and all that would be no longer a factor for Alex to have to cringe about. He'd have other things to cringe about.
Yeah, we do appreciate all the support we get. So whether it's just to listen or download, If you can tell one person and they tell three people and each person tells three people, I think we have a pretty good pyramid scheme of listeners
Yeah, and
ready to go.
as I said, this show does cost a lot of money. It's about 150 $150 a year just to host the podcast. That's coming out of my pocket.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, we are buying books like crazy. Not that we're not buying books anyways, but basically we had to have 2 copies of every book that we read.
Luckily, I work in a library now.
Yeah, that does help. But for me, most of these books I'm marking up. I'm putting stickies in, highlighting passages, and so I own a lot of the books already. Alex has easy access, or owns a lot of the books already. We're still having to buy a lot of books, so that's getting expensive. The equipment is expensive. I mean, it's one-time buys, but if we ever want to upgrade anything, that's going to bite into our profit margins of nothing.
Yeah, if you want to improve our sound quality, best thing you can do is give us money.
But so that being said, we're never going to charge for an episode. We obviously don't have the listenership to be asking for money. But if we can grow the show, that would be something that maybe we can look at too in the future. I also mentioned to Alex, we could start writing articles or writing reviews. You guys could hop on to see what else we're reading outside of the podcast stuff. So
I'm currently reading another Kate DiCamillo book, and it's really good.
Oh, there you go. I'm reading at the moment 6 books.
Nice.
I'm reading our season 2 opener. I am reading a book called Alaska, which is all about Alaska, and it's 1,152 pages long, and been reading it for 2 months now. It's been torturous, but fun, but torturous, because it never ends. Reading a cozy mystery. Reading the second Harry Potter to the children. And then I just started an anthology book of false advertising. It said Penny Dreadful books, but it's actually just Gothic stories of the 18th and 19th century.
Yeah, they've kind of changed the definition of a penny dreadful. I think a lot of those actual books are lost to time.
Yeah, I think so too. But
I know Sweeney Todd is really the only one that's well known to penny dreadful.
Yeah,
It's
that's
turned into something
actually
else.
one that's in there. So
Okay.
But I'm the first one in the story was Frankenstein. So
Yeah, it's not a penny dreadful.
no. So most of them are Gothic horrors, but yeah. So we were looking, or I was looking into other things, and we could always do something like a Patreon, a Substack, Medium. These are all different websites you can go and they all have their pros and cons, where we could write articles, have newsletters, what have you. If any of those sound interesting, or if anyone's already on those, let us know. Let us know what you think. And so we'll look into writing reviews, and so we don't want to charge people for anything. And I know like Medium is pay to play, and Patreon can be pay to play. So
It's all, just future stuff we're looking at.
yeah, so just
Finding ways to expand the show.
Yeah, just looking ahead, and what can we do to help grow our show? And I don't know if people will even read this stuff, or if you guys want to read this stuff. So feedback would be great. What else we got, Alex?
I think it's time to give them the next book.
Actually, quick backstep. What's something that you learned in doing this show?
Don't breathe into the microphone. No, it's just like I did like college radio and things like that, but that's just you talking to a radio and then it's in the airwaves and it's ready to go. But actually recording yourself and listening back, number one, I learned I hate my voice, and
Really, I got better with mine.
Yeah.
I disassociate with it, but
yeah, you get used to it. But just learning all like how to sit there with a microphone in your mouth with nothing really to say and just trying to get the words out. And I feel like I still and my way through everything, but I feel much more confident just as a speaker in general. And I still got a long ways to go, but this has been a really great learning experience on just how to do a verbal presentation on things.
Yeah, for me, my jokey side of this, how much I hate editing. That's what editing is just painful. It's just sitting there going through all the blank spots, making sure there's nothing picked up on the mic, or trying to edit out some of our cringiest jokes.
Yeah, the people that do that for a living, that like edit the big named big name shows, like, and those ones are edited to within an inch of their life. Like there are no ums because they all got taken out. There's no modicum of space for the next person to take a thought. It's just like you listen to those well-produced podcasts, and it's just like all the way through, and that has its own give and take because A, it sounds really fake, but also B,
it flows better.
Listen, it flows better. So
we almost hired someone from Iowa to do our editing. Becky was pushing for it, but I'm like, we have no money.
So if you want to pay for editing,
if you want to pay us to edit our show, but no. So again, this kind of reaching out. If you guys if you're interested in helping out, we're glad for your help. If you want to see what it's like to edit us, or if you want to be in the podcast, reach out. We'll definitely give you a shout out. And
yeah, it's a great learning experience. We're very friendly. The couch we're sitting on is built for 3, so come join us.
Yeah, but seriously, for my learning, I think learning how to read the books to talk about them.
Yeah, reading for understanding.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of ruined a lot of books. Because I recently just finished one of the books that's going to be on the podcast next season, but I was going to read it before you gave me the list, so I read it anyways, knowing I'm going to reread it. And it was very hard not to go into that analytical mode and teasing it apart and just reading the story to enjoy the story.
Yeah, it's like beyond the story, there's literary technique, there's the artistic styles, because all the books we read this season, they're all very different from each other, but most of them are good. So
most of them have actual technique used to tease out whatever message they're trying to tease out, and a lot of times multiple layers of messages. So, but yeah, and it's changed the way I read, and you said even books that aren't going to be part of the podcast ever, I'm reading differently. And I said in a way it's kind of annoying because I'm like, I just want to enjoy this damn story, and other ways it's like, oh, this is why this is so good or why this book is so bad. I can now identify what's going on with it. I can identify what's the deeper meanings of the books or what the author was probably trying to do with why they wrote it that way.
Yeah, it's like whether it's simple stuff like foreshadowing or just dropping subtle hints. Like I don't know, like Ian M. Banks was a master of that throughout the whole book.
But yeah. So getting into next season.
Yeah,
Alex, you get the first book of the season again.
Yes, I sure do. I'm excited for this one. I read this book in college for a class. The class was an author study. There were 2 authors for the class. One was Ernest Hemingway, and one was this author. I'm not reading them both. I'm not entirely 100% sure why they compared the 2. They were separate generations, and one has continued to be just an enduring legacy. I don't really hear... Hemingway has continued to be an enduring legacy. This guy, I think he's much more of a writer's writer, kind of like we were talking about with Ian M. Banks. And his work isn't as well known anymore, I would argue, even if he is considered one of the better authors of his generation. I really enjoyed this book. There's some very disturbing scenes in it. I think you'll like it too. I don't know how far into it you are, because I know you've started it.
Yeah, I'm almost done with it.
You're almost done with it? Okay, so you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But this book is An American Dream by Norman Mailer. Fun fact about Norman Mailer, I'd never heard of him until Ron White made a joke about him.
Well then, if Ron White's making jokes about him,
yeah,
there must be something wrong with him.
Well, it was a joke written right after he died, so I think the thing that's wrong with him is he's dead. But yes, Norman Mailer, tremendous writer, tremendous asshole, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun talking about this book.
Okay, I look forward to it, Alex. That said, there's going to be no bonus book this month. We're taking a little bit of a break for that, so you know that people get pissed off when podcasts have a break in the show, but this was a season ender and announcement for season 2, so why would we have a bonus episode? Really, we almost should have had a bonus episode after Use of Weapons, just let that one ride, but whatever.
Yeah, we did Use of Weapons and House of Leaves in the same month. Like
yeah.
It's quite the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, definitely. And especially being that Use of Weapons. I had originally said we should do 2 parts, and I was like, nah. 2 hours later, we should have done 2 parts. We probably could have gone for another 2 hours on that book.
I didn't want to go the Harry Potter route. Split the last one into 2 movies.
Yeah, so we got bonus episodes coming up the wazoo this season. So we're gonna start right off strong, and hopefully, so we got a bunch planned already. We got some recorded already. But yeah, I'm excited for the season 2. You, Alex?
Oh, I'm super stoked. I'm pumped.
Yeah, looking ahead at Alex's book list, there's some good ones in there. I know
they're short too.
Yeah, I went the other route.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Went longer. There's a couple in there that Alex is already dreading. I'm pretty sure.
Actually, no, they're not too bad. I think the longest one you recommended is one I've already read, so
Yeah.
it should be all right.
But I know but I mean story wise, I know there's one in there that you've already read that you're like, ugh. I had to read this one again. Damn it.
Well, you mentioned that I think I was saying when you said it was The Terror, but the one you actually did recommend or choose instead by that author.
Yeah,
is much more readable.
Yeah, I did ease up on it because the other one that I picked that you're like, eh. Like I better not do two to Alex.
The book is 350 pages too long.
And it is like a 800-page book, so it's not like he's saying the book should never have been written. No, it was really that too long.
Yeah, it was overwritten by a mile.
That'll be in season 3 probably.
God. Don't tell me that. There won't be a season 3.
Okay, we're not doing that in season 3, Alex.
Oh, shit. Oh, thank God. Oh.
So, yeah. What else do we got? Anything?
Just plug our stuff, I guess.
Okay.
And we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, sounds good to me. As we said, please be engaged. Reach out to us. We have an email, kindlebookworms@gmail.com. We have Instagram, @kindlebookworms. You can reach us out to us there. We're on all the major podcast apps. That means you can, even if you don't listen to us on Apple or Spotify, go to one or both of those and give us a rating. Spotify, I often have questions posted there or polls. You can definitely check those out. We have a Facebook page. I don't do a lot of activity there, but just kind of announcing when we have books, but follow us there so we know we can keep track of you guys. Creepily, Alex.
Well.
We are on YouTube, audio only, but if you want to listen to us there, if that's your jam, definitely check it out. We seem to have a few dedicated people on there, Alex. I know we haven't didn't talk about those streams, but it seems to be really hit or miss. We either get like 10 to 15 streams or we get 2. So not sure what's going on there, but we thank all the people that listen there. Alex has some books out, which reminds me, Alex, I have an idea for another bonus episode when we were done recording here.
Okay.
But the link in the description on Amazon is down in the description. Definitely check out Alex's book.
Yeah, Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to have my older series, The Destroyer. I'm hoping to have book 1. My goal is to have that up and running by the start of season 2.
Oh boy. So let's see, what else we got going here. As we said, let us know what you think about us getting something like a Substack to write articles. If that's something you'd be interested in reading, we will look further into that sort of endeavor. If you want to follow us on Goodreads, if you're on that, both Alex and I are on there, and you can track what we're reading and try to guess which books we're reading that are actually going to be on the podcast, since we usually start reading them before we actually announce them. That's one thing that we haven't mentioned here. Recording these podcasts versus when they get posted up, it's usually a month or 2 ahead of time, because both of us have real lives and jobs, and so it's, a lot of times we don't even remember what book's about to go up until, oh shit, that book's up.
Yeah, we get a month. We get like a couple of months ahead, and all of a sudden, then we don't record for a month, and then all of a sudden,
it's
caught
crap,
up to
we
us.
gotta start cranking them out, Alex. Becky. So I think that's everything I got there, Alex. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's all for me.
Okay. Yeah, Alex is fading fast here. He's not looking forward to a long drive home.
Yeah, but I did it for you guys.
As he says adoringly in my eyes.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for a wonderful season 1. We'll see you in season 2. And until then, I'm Alex.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been Bookworms.
Out.